What actually happened was that one of the aldermen in Eindhoven City Council asked us to help create a vision of sustainable living in Eindhoven. What does that mean if we reach 2035 and we've created that sustainable city? What we actually did was start working with 5 housing associations in Eindhoven, which resembles about 60% of all the people that live in Eindhoven living in social housing, and started working together with the city of Eindhoven to create strategic goals, a kind of more descriptive vision of the future and what does it mean when we reach that.
When I started at Woonbedrijf with sustainability, it felt a little bit like this, pulling a dog into the rain. But in a few years, with the help of the natural step, that dog, our organization, is pulling me as a program manager into the, not the rain anymore, but into the sun. For example, one of the strategic goals was sustainable energy. We want to be energy neutral as a city in 2035 for the built environment. We want to be in 2045 sustainable for the whole city, including mobility and industry.
So this is actually describing the concept of backcasting that was mentioned before, creating a vision in that future and trying to develop now and to see now what steps we need to take now, and also give the direction there. The other thing is that we need collective awareness. We need people to be aware of the challenges that we have had. So how do we create closed loops and look at healthy materials for the built environment? And one of the projects that we started working on was actually build a new conference center, making use of BREEAM, making use of cradle to cradle, trying to measure what we see, and also trying to steer the way subcontractors and the architects and all the people involved are actually working around sustainability and selecting the right materials. Same goes for the relocation of the city of Eindhoven, municipality services, actually avoiding 380,000 kilograms of carbon by just reusing materials, reusing office furniture, reusing carpet tiles, reusing interior walls, and also saving quite a lot of money. This is actually a big tender which was just passed City Council. 9 municipal buildings need to be renovated. It's a €101 million project, all within the 4 sustainability conditions. And the excellent thing about this is that we didn't describe what the subcontractors needed to do, but we actually challenged them to come up with the best ideas and the best solutions. And we have a little bit of a challenge for you as well.
Well, it's not only about governmental buildings. Woonbedrijf, with the 32,000 houses, want to be circular within 10 years. So we calculated what the amount of materials is, what we have in a property, and what yearly flows through our houses. And you can see on the 10th place, kunststof and PVC. That's not quite a lot in the percentage you can see, but it's still a theme. And we want to phase out the unsustainable materials.
And to know what sustainability is, you actually need to know what the impact of materials and products are. So what we do for these housing associations is actually measure where it impacts in the different parts of a life cycle compared to the 4 sustainability principles. And that delivers a kind of schemes like this, with the red squares obviously being the challenges out there, orange a little bit less challenge, and the green parts and the blue parts are more or less okay. So we did that for mineral wool, insulation materials. We also did that for painting systems. And the next slide is actually about PVC window frames. And my question to you, a little bit of a quiz, my question to you is, how many red and orange squares do you think a PVC window frame has? Give us a guess. Only a few, okay. Well, this might be a little bit surprising. This is actually what we discovered there. And it's not so much telling that you make bad products, but this is actually where the challenges are. And if you said in the questionnaire looking for the hotspots, this is where the hotspots in PVC window frames are. So how do we cope with them, and how do we start working with them? So what does this mean in practice? This is a project that we were facing 64 duplex buildings. I don't know if you know what duplex houses are, but they're pretty small, single person household. And what we actually did was at the design table see what can we do with these materials that are used for for this product. So we actually created a recovery table, and some of you might recognize this, but first we're looking for internal reuse of the materials like Rob is explaining. So the CV installation or window or door handles and stuff like that, that can be reused over and over again. The second one is if we can't use them within Woonbedrijf, we have a collective of other organizations that can reuse those materials in their projects. And the third one is actually upcycle. So those of you who are familiar with the cradle-to-cradle approach, we need to at least have the same quality of materials back to where they came from. So concrete becomes new concrete again. PVC becomes new PVC again. And we actually want to avoid the downcycling of material, making them less valuable and less quality. And we definitely want to prevent incineration or bringing them into landfills. And the reality is completely different. So we actually started working with a couple of organizations to work around the thinking at the design table and see how this works into practice. And then you see for quite a lot of materials, people are used to downcycle them. For instance, PVC, most of the PVC that comes from demolition projects in the Netherlands goes into the incinerators. So it's a complete waste of materials, of good materials that can be reused again. What we also saw, and that's something a little bit out of the scope of the materials, is that we see that the business models for instance, this demolition company are actually based on downcycling and devaluating materials. That's where their trade comes from. So they needed a completely new business model to work around. And they felt very anxious about us actually bringing in new ways of working together. So we started doing this along the way, and we still are facing a couple of challenges. For instance, the transparency about how much material comes out of this deconstruction part. On the other hand, we're also working with the construction company, which is this one, to select the new materials that should be brought into this new build project. So what we actually use when selecting materials, we use the red list of the Living Building Challenge, and PVC is on that. And that needs to change, but at the same time we're facing the challenge that we can't recognize sustainable PVC or smarter PVC from unsustainable PVC, because the market doesn't have an eco-label or something around that. So in that way, pleading for what Jason just said, we need something to identify sustainable materials from unsustainable materials. And it's a journey, it's a very long journey, and this is actually a Chinese proverb saying that we need to do this step by step. And we don't have a lot of time, but we're very aware of that this is our shared responsibility. We have to do this together. And at the same time, advocating for sustainable buildings, we also have to put our money where our mouth is. So I'm actually bringing on a challenge, and it just got approved from the construction company. There's a new industrial zone being built around Eindhoven, 200 hectares. This is one of the first buildings that is being built, start building, I think by the end of this year. And we have a challenge. We want PVC roofing there, but we want sustainable PVC roofing there. So anyone who has an answer to this challenge, please report to us, because this is a real-life project. Everybody's committed to this, but we only need to select the right materials there.